And we are back, jumping into game number 2 here of Leenock versus NightMare. Jumping in mid-series. Fortunately, don't quite know the score yet, but we will be informed very, very soon.
Hopefully. Of course, we can always just open up Steadfast's channel and we can quickly take a peek and see what's going on. But here we go, our second semifinals of the night.
That it is, and we're spawning here on Lincoln Park LE. We're in the top right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner. We, of course, have the red Zerg player coming out from the land of Korea. He is going to be representing... he's not on a team yet, is he?
Nope.
There we go, representing into the clan, but is currently teamless. He is Leenock.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, as we can see, currently up 1-0 in this best-of-5 semifinals. We have the South Korean Protoss player representing Team NV. It is Leenock.
Whew.
So, I do hope that everyone is well rested. We were able to get some water, able to get some food, able to go to the bathroom, and dive into our next series.
Yeah, gonna be figuring out who Ragnarok is gonna face in those grand finals. So far, NightMare with the advantage, which, you know, not too surprising, all things considered, but
Yeah.
it's not too late at all for Leenock to turn this around.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier. Right now, Leenock is the one who has to prove himself. Again, surprising everyone. It was an upset for him to take down Bjorn, especially because Bjorn has been on fire recently. He's won 4 ESL Open Cups in the last 5 weeks.
And he's been in 5 finals, even though he doesn't win.
And he just qualified for TSL yesterday. He qualified for TSL 8 through the European qualifier. So he was playing with ping, with high ping at that, and he still qualified there as well. So it's absolutely insane what Bjorn has been able to accomplish. But maybe he burned himself out, or maybe Leenock is just on another level in ZvT.
Maybe he got ping acclimated. So when we came back to ESL Asia, it's like, oh my god, I'm not used to this.
Oh god, exactly. It's crazy. So we'll see what he can do here in ZvP. A very different matchup, arguably a harder matchup depending on the map. Here we are though on 2000 Atmospheres, one of the older maps, a map that's a little bit more played out.
Yeah, a map where everybody just about knows the ins and outs of at this point. It's a lot more forgiving, I suppose, jumping into it immediately. And we'll see how Leenock decides to utilize it. My eyes, like you, my eyes are entirely on him just because of how little we've really been able to cast him throughout, ever since he's gone to the military.
Definitely. Oh boy, I mean, so far everything is looking pretty standard. He does have his overlord across the map, very far back. This one is designed to dive in afterwards to see what the follow-up is after the Void Ray opener. Assuming that we have one, there we go. It is, of course, the initial Void Ray for NightMare.
Yeah, nice and standard coming out from him.
Yeah, and oh, here we go. You could argue this has also become relatively standard because it's also become quite popular.
Yeah. In more recent months. Yes, Pro Dust players are kind of sick of going double Stargate every game.
I mean, you got to keep your Zerg opponent on their toes, you know?
Yeah, always. Can't rely on the same build every time unless you're it's Zest.
Well, I mean, that's just Zest, you know? Feel like,
and he makes it work.
Yeah, I feel like if his Zerg opponent has map hacks and has full information, Zest wins anyway. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh god, brutal, mate. It's brutal. But here we go. Ooh, Leenock, you're going for a very different kind of approach to this, going for +1 melee.
Interesting. All right. Well, thankfully, NightMare is going for a Glaive to Death build, so +1 melee may work out in Leenock's favor, potentially, depending on the positioning. Obviously, roaches are still a much safer option against us specifically, but it's a little bit more forgiving, right? Having +1 melee to not. Having banelings to not.
Yeah, I mean, again, this kind of style is you go Mass Queen for your anti-air, you delay your Spire and your Hydrogen, and you deal a lot of damage, or you rely a lot on Ling Bane here to go for these counterattacks, to hit mineral lines, and to deny bases.
Yeah, this is a Fano style, as we've gotten kind of fond of calling it.
Exactly, I know DRG likes going for this as well, and apparently Leenock on top of that, so it has kind of been spread to the Korean scene. To be fair, we don't know who originated it, we just we just really took notice of it when we casted DreamHack and Stefano.
I gotta say Stefano created it.
Why not? Why not?
Why not, yeah.
And meanwhile, we do have a couple of depths coming across the map. Glaives has just finished up immediately. We have Blink behind this, so NightMare already working on the follow-up. We'll see how much damage these adepts can do because, yo, there are no roaches.
Yeah, honestly, this doesn't look too committed from NightMare either. He can still get a lot of damage done, but he is fine with losing a couple of adepts here.
Yeah.
And he's fine with getting a little bit less damage than otherwise.
I mean, he's trading so well. At the same time, more adepts hit the third base. All the Banelings were wasted, so 0 Banelings remaining and 0 Lings.
Yeah, some really good target firing on top of all these adepts. NightMare does not commit to a shade. Instead, chips away at his third base. Regardless, he still gets 10 drone kills.
Exactly. Not just 10 drone kills, but again, waste all those Banelings, a lot of the Lings as well. Like NightMare, he traded so efficiently when it came to his positioning behind this mineral line, even using the Baneling nest against Leenock.
Yeah, there's just a whole lot of wasted gas here from the side of Leenock.
Oh god, and the problem is that, again, it wasn't very committed, right? Like, we have the follow-up, we have more gateways, Blink Stalkers, +1.
One after another.
Feels bad, man. Feels bad. So what I will say is that because of the scouting from NightMare, he sees the Ling Bane, and honestly, Blink Stalkers aren't the best against Ling Bane, right? It's like, they're not the most ideal. Once they get surrounded, that's kind of it. So he doesn't have the best army, but I mean, maybe with good enough Blink Micro, he's feeling confident anyway.
Well, I was gonna say, in theory, you can blink away from the Lings, right? Before they get the surrounds, you can blink away from Banelings before they connect. But Blink does have a cooldown. Lings zooming around do not. And eventually you're just gonna run out of room to blink. That's how fast Lings are.
Exactly. Speaking of, immediately we see a massive surround on these Stalkers. No blinks whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Blink was actually done yet for this fight, but I guess it was. The reason why NightMare wasn't really blinking back, though, is because he was focused a lot more on getting a bit of a flanking warp in. It's a massive Protoss army for this stage of the game, and there's no answer right now from the side of Leenock. He's getting a ton of Banelings. I mean, he's turned just about every single Ling into a Baneling. Here come a couple of reinforcements. Is it going to be enough?
Exactly. Like, honestly, Leenock had a massive, insane surround. He's going to try and go once again. The Banelings roll on forward, and he will kind of get some connections here on the Adepts. But what about the Stalkers?
Yeah, connecting with the Adepts was really good, especially because of, you want to connect Banelings on light units like that, but the Stalkers were really the backbone of that army for I almost said Ragnarok, for NightMare. And once they were taken out, then, well, once they were still standing, Leenock did not have an answer to the Stalkers once his Banelings got taken out.
Exactly. And with that, we of course have NightMare taking a lead 2-0 in this series. And I think what's important as well about what we just saw is that because of all the drones that went down earlier, like that just means that Larva had to be wasted on drones. You know, he didn't really have the production to have a good enough Lingbane army to deal with all those adepts, just because of how inefficient he was trading.
Exactly. And with that, NightMare's already on match point.
He is.
Un momento, por favor.
Meanwhile, would you mind if I rejoin the lobby here so we can get Maddox in?
Yes. Jump it in here. I thought you left because of Game Hard, if I'm being honest. But yeah.
Alright. Here we go. We got all our boys, all of our casters. We're diving in. Funada the players, definitely for the next one. WCS Game Heart, mate. WCS Game Heart.
SMH my head. SMH my hedge.
Hedge, mate. Hedge.
Edge.
I still feel like the headset hat is the next invention that's around the corner. Like, that would be amazing. A hat that's a headset. Think about it.
I mean, they have headsets that are cat ears, so why not?
Yeah. Just take it one step further, mate.
Yeah.
They can also have, like, the corks hanging off as well.
Yeah. Of course, some would argue that at that point, just use in-ear monitors instead of headphones. But, you know, details. Anyway, we're going to be continuing our series now on Hellfire LE. We're in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We, of course, have the Red Zerg player, currently down 0-2 in this best-of-5 semifinals. He needs to win this, and then 2 more in order to get to the grand finals. Representing himself as he's currently teamless, but also into the clan, he is Leenock.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player. He is blue, representing Team NV. It is NightMare. And also, as we get into this, massive shout out to Skylar in the chat. Yo, everyone is dropping by. We had Milk earlier, and now we have his better half, Skylar.
Are they twins?
Are they twins or are they the same person? I don't know.
Ah. I mean, you haven't seen them in the same room.
It's very true.
Have you?
I have not. I have not. Can confirm. But massive shout out to Skylar. For those wondering, he is the highest player in all of North America, potentially the world. I think we could probably.
I'm pretty sure the world. Yeah, he's the highest player.
Highest player in the world, mate. And yeah, he does stream on his own channel. Do check him out. He's very entertaining to watch.
I feel like I get the residual high just from watching his stream.
Is that a good thing? Is that a good?
I mean, you were the one who told me to learn from him.
I did. All makes sense now. So yeah, massive shout out. I hope you're doing well, man. I hope you're doing well as we are diving into game number 3. And I didn't get to see game 1, but so far in game 2, NightMare did kind of have his way with Leenock there.
Yeah, he definitely killed it, and killed Leenock as well.
He did. He really did. Made some sushi. Some paella. The lean octopus.
Yes, some takoyaki.
Oh, takoyaki? Yo.
I'm hungry. But yeah, it did definitely look very brutal from the side of NightMare in game number 2. That said, I feel like a lot of that was just because of Leenock's decision making, right? Going for, I mean, he didn't really get to scout what NightMare was going for one, right? But despite that, still going for Ling Bane and doubling down on that wasn't exactly the most effective unit composition against Stalkers and Sentries.
Yeah, I mean, it was doing okay, but like, when you go Ling Bane like that, you need a lot of momentum because you need a lot of larva to work with that. And when you're losing so many Lings and Banelings early on, that will impact the size of your army. And as we saw, like, we saw him start off that fight getting an amazing surround on the army of Stalkers, but that was actually half the army of Stalkers. And he cleaned them all up, right? He killed them all, but there was more where that came from, and he just ran out. He just ran out of Ling Bane.
Much more, yeah. Plus all that worker damage early on couldn't have helped.
Exactly. But here we are in game number 3, and for me, myself, I hope that, Leenock can maybe turn things around. Somehow, some way, the Lings roll in. The wall was not a wall. Oh my god.
They're gonna depower this. There's not enough in position. These Lings should get too much more damage. Very well timed shade there from the side of NightMare, but still, depowering all that early on. Absolutely massive, mate.
Yeah. 2 probes go down, and with all of that, we do have a delay on potential +1 if he wants to go for that. More importantly, on these gateways. So nicely done there by Leenock.
Just about 1 or 2 warping cycles got delayed for so long.
Yeah, and he wants to keep going, by the way. He's getting another Evo chamber, just like the previous game, so he wants to go for +1 melee. The Ling's already across the map, looking to deny the 3rd base, and yo, the Adepts aren't, the Sim City, it's not there! Oh my god.
It really isn't. Shield Battery is now about to finish up, just barely not enough Lings to continue on from there. But Leenock's just regrouping, man. +1 is on the way, Baneling Nest is on the way too.
I'll be honest, I thought the Lings were gonna get us around on those Adepts. I was like, yo, usually they're like pushed up tightly against the pylon and the Nexus, but it just wasn't there. Leenock, he wants us around!
And he gets us around, but he is just able to retreat to shield battery range. Lings don't get too much more beyond that, but the important thing is they're about to. With +1 in Banes.
Yeah, +1 Banelings. Once again, this is the same composition that he went for in the previous game. This time, at least, he's not taking any economic damage because we don't have a glaive follow-up here from NightMare. Instead, NightMare is going full Skytoss, double Stargate with Void Rays.
Like so. Turn on the Twilight Council for eventual High Templar, I would imagine.
High Templar.
Also helpful in case he needs to make a transition at any point.
Yeah, he could even do it just for charge lots, just so he has that to buffer and help support the Void Rays against Queens. Yeah, we'll see what he decides to go for here. Meanwhile, he has full map control, and so far these Lings haven't really done much. Sure, they got a pylon early on and a couple of probes, but he's gonna need more than that.
Yeah, we'll see if that changes as the expansions of NightMare get more and more exposed, more and more vulnerable. We're on High Warrior, man. It's a pretty wide open map. The distance between the 4th base and the 3rd base, or even the 4th base in natural, is pretty massive.
Yeah, it really can be. Of course, it's not like this is a Pride of Altaris, for example, which is of course much longer, but this is still relatively long anyway. So Queen pushes are delayed. Because of that, Leenock, he's joining up pretty heavily. He's actually taking up all the way into Hive. Or I say Hive. Sorry, Infestors.
Yeah, very quick pathogen glands gets researched. Interesting. I guess that's one way of making sure that your Banelings connect, right? Just fungal the ground army, but there's not as much of a ground army. I say that, but 7 gateways are on the way for NightMare. He wants to go into Charged Archon.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe just Chargelets.
Here we go. +1 Chargelets are going to be on the way. There we go. There is that Templar Archive, so he does want to go Charge Lot Archon. And what we're really missing here for NightMare is a 4th base. It's honestly a little bit late here. Leenock already has his up and running. NightMare taking things a little bit more slowly as, sorry, he's not joining up. He's not probing up. He's stopped at 66, man.
Yeah, he is more than happy to almost go all in from here. It's a little bit calling it all in, but he does want to go for a very, very powerful 3-base push with all of his charge hits, with these Void Rays as well. Starting to warp in High Templar, actually. Can turn them into Archons pretty soon. He
essentially wants to hit the timing. +1 is about to finish up in a couple of seconds. We do not see it contaminate on the Forge, so with that, NightMare is going for it. But he has to be careful because you know what the Banelings— No, the charge lots!
Charge right into their doom, and there's plenty more where that came from. Archon's not quite in position to tank those shots, or even to just try to attack the Banelings before they can really connect.
Mate, as soon as that happened, he threw down a 4th. He's like, ugh.
Well,
this is not really gonna work out here. So 4th base is on the way. We should see resumed worker production. Meanwhile, NightMare, he has a pretty nice position here on the low ground, so he's able to deal some damage, but again, he's not gonna end the game.
Yeah, you can get some lost mining, maybe, but not much beyond that. One more warp-ins coming in.
Yeah, that they are. Meanwhile, the Banelings actually get caught out here by the Archons. He's actually continuing to warp in more Zealots here across the map. Maybe he can try and engage well again. Hopefully this time he doesn't just run his Zealots into Banelings.
But he does run his Archons into Roaches, which isn't much better, honestly. Touches once again, man. He needs to keep them on a leash.
He really does, but you know what? The Queens are exposed, and just like that, 2 Queens immediately fall, and now the base is exposed!
The base was exposed, and now it is dead. Counterattack coming out from Leenock, though, and it is looking very, very massive. The Warpism not in position for a hot pickup. Archon's trying to evacuate as quickly as possible.
Oh my god. Ooh, the War Prism shows up just in time, and as all this is happening, we do have some Archons across the map. They were harassing a little bit. We do finally see a bit of a recall, and in the end, NightMare, I didn't think that he could get a kill in this 4th base, but because he did, like, that was an okay trade. That was okay.
Didn't lose too many Void Rays, didn't lose too many Archons either, only losing 1 Archon. Lost a lot of Zealots, which you could argue he lost them pretty unnecessarily, but they're relatively expendable for the Protoss player.
They are. The big problem is the tech, because Leenock, he does have his hive. He has Infestors. They've been slowly gathering energy this entire time. Vipers are on the way. Greater Spire is on the way. Leenock just has so much going for him. He just needs a 4th base up and running, and like he's Gucci, man. He's golden. He's Leenock.
Well, how about 5 bases up and running? He's golden?
Not quite, not quite.
They both play Zerg.
They do. Of course, the biggest problem that Leenock has as well is that he needs to get rid of all these roaches, so immediately he goes for a counterattack.
Yeah, counterattack, which honestly may be able to get quite a bit of value as well. Take out a couple of Archons at the very least. Leenock wants to get rid of the roaches, but he doesn't want to completely donate them, so he will back away and try to find another avenue of attack, something a little bit more vulnerable.
Yeah, he wants to trade as efficiently as possible. He still wants to trade, but again, efficiently. We'll see if he can, or he will be able to catch 1 Archon.
Alright, there we go. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
And lose every single roach now.
Oh god! Speaking of, the disruptor shots go off and every single roach is going to fall. At least he got 1 Archon, I guess. But now we see the supplies evening up a little bit, and yo, oh my god, Broodlords are already on the way.
And what does NightMare have to really contend with that? He's got Void Race, at least. But the ground army starting to get fungal. Purification Nova lands on Queens that were already being transfused.
Oh, but another Nova's gonna go off. This time it does connect with Queens. Doesn't quite reach those Infestors.
Yeah, a couple of Queens go down, but as we were saying, the Infestors are still in the back line. They still got plenty of energy.
Oh,
a couple
the Vipers!
are out now too. Oh, but the Vipers get taken out, sniped. Unfortunate hay move there. But I don't think it matters too much at the end of the day. The Void Rays have just about been dealt with. I say that, but there's only 1 Queen left.
There
Nothing
is
to
only...
really protect the
Meanwhile, as all that was happening, we had Zealots in every single base, forcing so much lost mining time. A couple of drones went down as well, 35 in total this game. With that, NightMare takes the worker lead.
Wow. This is why we need game hard, guys. I looked over for NightMare there for a sec after taking so many expensive losses, losing so many Void Rays, so many Archons, but at the end of the day, he still has a lot of economy to work with. He still has a lot of production. He's now transitioning to a full-on Sky Toss army.
Yeah, he has to be careful though, not to throw away too much here. But as you're saying, like, he's working on Tempest, he's going to be working on Carriers, Disruptors are coming out. Like, this is great for him. And Leenock he lost 3 Vipers for nothing. Like, not a single spell left those Vipers, and that was brutal. Mate.
And now the Satury's going to go down as well. There's not enough Queens to transfuse that. The Queen might actually go down too.
Wow, the Queen just barely survives, but what's more important is the kill on that hatchery. The economy of Leenock, again, I wouldn't say crippled, but it's being hindered quite a bit here by NightMare. Because of all this harassment, NightMare is keeping himself in this game.
And NightMare almost has 1,000 more mineral income. They're about 400 more gas income as well.
Jesus Christ. And we'll see what he can do with that. Again, we still have continued Tempest. Tempest are an interesting choice, to say the least. Honestly, I would like to see more Void Rays. Like...
Yeah, the Corruptus and the Brute Lords.
Yeah, exactly. Like, typically you want to avoid Void Rays when there are too many Vipers, which makes sense. But at the same time, Leenock hasn't shown the best Viper control, so it may still be worth making a bunch of Void Rays.
You want to avoid Rays? Question mark, but yeah, are there actually any Vipers out now, or has Leenock completely... Okay, there are 2 Vipers out somewhere on the map. For a second, I thought Leenock might have just given up on the unit, but he is... I mean, he knows the importance of them, right?
Yeah. And he does. We do have 2 Vipers out. Hopefully a couple of the spells do land. We still have a decent amount of Infestors, as they survived earlier. I say decent. Only 2 Infestors as well.
Yeah, but thankfully they do have a lot of energy on them. He has to make sure that he gets all his money's worth on those Infestors and more.
The Lings accidentally do attack the army, though. A lot of Lings do get shaved off. These Tempests, there is still no real answer. This is where Vipers are so important. More important so than Corruptors, because I was talking about Void Rays to help, like, keep these Tempests alive. Look at how many Archons there are.
Yeah, the Archons acting as arguably a better buffer right now against the Corruptors than Void Rays ever could. They've got a lot of splash damage on them.
Exactly.
Corruptors do tend to bunch up quite a bit.
We see a bit of a Ling run by. The Ling run by is not going to do too much. Doesn't even get a kill on that cannon. And meanwhile, NightMare, he denies one base. He rotates around. He wants another.
Oh, can he get the Corruptors? Not quite. That's the downside of Archons, I suppose. They have a very short range, and you can always utilize the dead air as when controlling your Corruptors. Oh. Beautiful fungal on the majority of the army. And Leenock is starting to chain fungal, but even better feedbacks on those Vipers. A couple of Parabombs do land, and honestly, these Tempests are starting to get really low.
Oh my god, the Tempests are so bunched up. Every single Tempest will go down. They were so softened up by those blinding clouds, by those parasitic bombs. Meanwhile, we have a bit of a Zealot run by as well, and the ground army is still looking strong.
It really is. The Ultras that Leenock made have been taken out by the combination of Immortals and Archons. I will say it's still going to be tricky for NightMare to deal with these Broodlords, but there are only 3 of them, and he's already warping in a couple of Stalkers. He can blink right under them.
And he's avoiding them. Like, it takes so long for the Broodlords to keep up with the army, and in that time, the natural base is full, and the main base is going to fall. The workers as well, not just the workers, but also the Ultra Cavern, maybe even the Greater Spire.
Maybe even the Hive. Maybe even the Hive! Hive should go down. Purification of us on those Queens.
It looks like one more shot in the Hive does fall. Recall goes up, so he will not get the Greater Spire, but it's okay. He's dealt more than enough damage.
And look at the production right now for NightMare. Warping in as many Stalkers as he can, producing 4 Void Rays at a time. There is just no way. I really don't see Leenock keeping these Broodlords alive for too long.
Yeah, Void Rays are going to be the nail in the coffin, mate. Like, how many Corruptors do we have? We have 5. We're about to have 7. And 7 Corruptors are not going to be enough. Leenock has no bank. He is running out of money. He only has 2 bases mining right now. 1.5, really. And he is going to be very all in with this. Like, he needs to kill at least a base.
And there's a little bit of a timing here before NightMare can really get his Void Rays up and running. Even if he does finish producing them, it will take a little bit of time to get in position.
You're not wrong, you're not wrong. Here we go, the Void Rays do come out immediately. They target out 1, 2, 3 Broodlords.
Really good fungal, but nothing really followed that up. The Vipers do get in position though. And the Parabombs are insane, especially combined with the fungals. Oh, but here come the Stalkers.
Yeah, the Stalkers do blink on forward. Lings get a nice round, though, on the Immortals. Nice blinding clouds as well. But the Stalkers retreat to the safety of the shield batteries and the Void Rays. There's just too much Protoss here. Overcharges popped as well. GG gets called. And NightMare takes the series 3-0.
Proving that ZvP is a much different matchup from ZvT. That was clinical from NightMare, jeez.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem was that, if you noticed, Leenock went for the same opener every single game. To be fair, we didn't get to cast game 1, but every single time he went for a Ling Flood into +1 melee and Banelings. Because of that, he was kind of read like a book. There was never anything like special or anything coming out of left field from him. So because of that, NightMare was able to respond well.
Super predictable.
Yeah, and more often than not, NightMare was the one that wasn't being scouted. Like, Leenock struggled to really scout and see what was going on from the side of our Protoss.
Yeah, rip Pneumatized Carapace. But with that, we are spared I was gonna say spared a PvP finals, but really we are denied another ZvC finals here in ESL Open Cup Asia. Been a while since that, but we will at least get a PvZ finals coming up here.
That we will.